more stuff to do than I do. All right. I'm here with Dale Swope. I'm going to do a short introduction for Dale. It's a pleasure for me to have him here. He's one of Tampa Bay's most distinguished attorneys. He's had an exceptional career, particularly in personal injury, bad faith, medical malpractice, health products liability. I think that there's probably more things that Dale's done than not done. He was the founder of Swope Rodante, which began in '79. Is that correct, Dale?
Yes, it is.
It's a powerhouse of a firm here in Tampa, Florida. He's known throughout Florida as being an excellent lawyer. He has won every single accolade and award. I think that they're making up awards for you now, Dale. I just saw one the other day. I think that there's coming up with stuff now. I mean, he's AV rated, Martindale Hubble, Superb Avo. He's best lawyers in America, super lawyer since 2006, elite legal Hall of Fame.
If you lived old enough, you get all that stuff. That's the key to getting all these things. Is you live old, man.
I just got to stick around.
That's it. Just hang out.
Well, we'll see. Well, I'm going to try to come back to you and give me 10 years and I'll see how it goes.
You'll be there.
All right. I trust you. So Dale's also been the president of FJA. He's a founding member of the Tampa Bay Trial Lawyers Association. He's an esteemed member of the American Law Institute. Dale, I'm going to go on, but I'm actually going to stop. I mean, there's a lot for me to go into, but what I will finally say is Dale is a real lawyer. And I say that because there's a lot of folks who, stand outside the ring and they sit there and they talk trash. Dale gets inside the ring. He's not afraid to do it either. And in fact, I might even say he invites it a little bit. So I invited him here because when I think of attorneys that I want to hear their war stories, I think of Dale because I know this man has good war stories. I've heard a few of them, but today he's going to grace us with one, maybe two if we're lucky. And I look forward to hearing it. I'm going to try not to interrupt you, Dale, but I'm going to give you the floor and allow you to tell us what one of the experiences that you've had as an attorney.
Well, Mike, let me tell you this. I started thinking about the best war stories that I could come up with, thinking about trial stuff, of course. And really, my best ones are not things that I did. It always sounds so egotistical when you talk about how you did this or that to somebody in court. The best stories I got are things that my co-counsel did, people that I was working with.
I like that.
Let me start off with one. And the trouble is, our lawyers in our crowd will appreciate the setup here to understand it, and everybody else, stay with me. So I'm handling this case down in Sarasota County, and it's a motorcycle accident. And it's a motorcycle accident where a father of 3 kids and a beautiful wife is driving down the road one evening, following every law that there is. And a young man coming from an opposite direction who had gone to the store for some silly thing, took a hard left right in front of him. The motorcyclist collides with him. The motorcyclist ends up in the road in the opposing lane with a broken neck, can't move, literally was dying, and a car from the opposite direction runs over him, and now he is dead.
Goodness.
Leaving behind his family. Well, this is a situation where the insurance company had not settled it when they should have. There was a lot of reasons on why that happened, but they had, I want to say, a $300,000 policy and had not paid it on. Maybe it was $100,000, hadn't paid it on time. Well, the defense lawyer who was involved, and I'm not going to say his name because we've since become good friends. The defense lawyer had been part of the mess up, and he was doing everything in the universe to prevent this case from going to trial. Didn't have his witnesses, need a continuance, judge. Well, wait a minute, I haven't gotten the answers to some order, need a continuance, judge. They kept putting the case off. At one point, he scheduled elective gallbladder surgery so that he'd be in the hospital on the day of the trial. I was honestly starting to feel a little bad for him. Then he got a continuance one time because he said what he really needed to do was sue as a third-party defendant, the car that was coming from behind his client that ran over my guy, even though my guy was actually dying already,
Right.
wanted to bring him into the lawsuit. And then that was silly. You don't need to, you can fabrate him. It's just
Right.
the same effect, even better. But that fella had no insurance. It's just another delay. And so he did it. And we come up on the trial, and I knew that what he was hoping for, that fella had never filed a response. So he was technically in default, but defense lawyer had never defaulted him. So technically the pleadings weren't closed. And when the pleadings aren't closed, you can't go to trial. And that was his strategy. He's going to show up on the day of trial and say, Judge, you can't go to trial until have our pleadings closed. Nothing we can do. So there is a fellow named Matt Haynes who works in Palm Beach, Florida. And this guy is a trial junkie. There are some people that are just junkies, and Matt is one of them. He loves it. And so I called him up and said, Matt, how would you feel about representing this man who doesn't have insurance, doesn't have any money? You're not going to ever get paid anything. I can't pay you. That'd be a conflict. But it'd be a fun trial. And he goes, I said, I'll put you up at the Ritz-Carlton in Sarasota. You can stay with us. And I think he said, would you cover my porn bill? But maybe not. Maybe I made that part up. I don't know. But anyway, he shows up. We made arrangements for him to meet the fella at his house. The man agrees to hire him, working for free. And so poor defense lawyer shows up on the day of trial thinking he's got an ace up sleeve, and he ain't got nothing. This guy shows up with his answer and affirmative defenses, which are nothing. He just said I didn't cause the death, and you did. And he goes over to the defense table. Now here's the defense lawyer thinking he's getting ready for a trial, and Matt says, like, hey, can you scooch over a little bit? I need some space here. I'm your co-defendant. And poor guy I thought he was going to die. And so the voir dire starts off, and I'm coordinating. Everybody gets 3. So I get 3, Matt gets 3, the actual defendant gets 3. So we're double teaming him on this. We got him 6-3. Same thing goes on opening statement. Opening statement, Matt says this. He goes, when this evidence all comes in, there's 2 things that you need to do, and I want you to do it. Number 1 is tell my client that he did not kill this wonderful man, because he didn't, and he needs to have this cleared off of his conscience. And number 2, give that woman every penny she asked for. She's got it coming. She's got 3 young kids to raise, and they've lost their daddy, and she needs every penny that they're going to ask. And I'm thinking, damn, this is pretty good. But it caps off. It gets even better, because the ultimate act in the case, the ultimate moment in the case, we've got the defendant on the stand, and I've already gone through and I've kind of blasted him about, not keeping a good look at. I apologize for that train going by. I think they practiced their whistle blowing in my signature.
Oh, that's all right.
I've already gotten him. I've already, set it all up, how he turned short in front of the man, didn't, wasn't enough space and this and that. Matt stands up and he says, just tell me, why did you do it? Why would you bother? Why would you turn left? If you saw the motorcycle, why would you turn left right in front of him? And the guy says, I thought I had like a full car length when I turned. And if you think about that, a car length with an oncoming motorcycle is about a 32nd of a second that it takes for that motorcycle to hit you. And when he said that, the whole courtroom just stopped.
Yeah.
And everybody looked at everybody else, and they said, did he just say 1 car length? Wow. Matt doesn't even say no more question.
Yeah,
he
that's
just
when
walks
you
over
down.
to the chair and sits down, and that was the end of it. So that was a great verdict, and I 100% attribute that to my friend Matt Haynes. So
wow,
great job on that one.
Well, that's very interesting to me, and just to kind of give context for people who maybe don't do civil trial practice, but the benefit of Matt showing up there is that essentially the insurance company thought they were going to set up a straw man. Right. And you showed up with a steel man instead.
A very fun one. We would, it was me and Alicia Bowen on our side of the case. And Matt, of course, was on his side, and I think Ron Croft was helping us out too. You know Ron from St. Pete. Ron Bone is what his name is.
Yeah.
And we were staying at the only place to stay in Sarasota at that time was that beautiful hotel, the Hyatt Regency. And so we were doing our trial prep every evening in the hot tubs together. We had a very, very good time trying that case. It was one of my funnest ones. So
It's good. I notice the more trials I get under my belt, the more fun I tend to have. Like the first trial, I think I just sweat for 2 weeks, which was which was fine. It was a legal malpractice case, but I noticed that the
ooh,
fun factor goes up.
you know what? I wasn't going to bring this one up, but let me tell you, you want to hear a story?
I do.
The first actual injury trial I had ever tried was in Tampa. I mean, and mind you, at that point, I was still a very young lawyer. I was maybe a 2 or 3 year lawyer. And when you say I started my law firm off in 1979, that's because I quit the only job I ever had. I had one job. It lasted about 3 months, maybe 4 months, working for David Sales' dad down in Palm Beach, and I just quit. Just wasn't for me working for somebody. I love Dave, his dad, but it wasn't for me. So I came back home to Tampa, and there's kind of a fine line between an unemployed lawyer and a self-employed lawyer. And at some point, I've crossed that line and became a self-employed lawyer. And most of my clients in the early days were people who had small businesses because it was easy to go find them and you could create relationships with them. And I was doing junk work for them, but making a living at it. And occasionally I'd get an injury case, which I loved working on, but I never had one to go to trial. And then one day this big case came in the office, and I'm going to tell you about this, okay?
All right.
This big case was that a fellow was installing a roof. He was a third generation of his family that was in the roofing business. And he's a young man and he is trying to make changes and innovations. And so used to be in the old days, the way you would put down a roof is you would mop down hot asphalt and then you would roll felt down into it. And it's a very slow and methodical process. And you go 3 layers deep, shingling this felt. And it was dangerous because the hot asphalt is 425 degrees. You're up on a roof. It's just tough work. And they had invented a machine that would dispense hot asphalt. You pour the vat, you fill it up, and then there's a control over here that opened a valve. But it was difficult because you have to walk at exactly the right pace, and the valve had to be the right open because it has to be just enough asphalt, but not too much. And that wasn't that easy. And more to make it worse, how are you supposed to do this without stepping in it? It seemed like the logical thing to do was to walk backwards with it. So that's what he was doing on this day, the first day they'd ever used it. He's trying to figure it out. He got away from the men that were rolling out the felt, was out there by himself. And sure as hell, he walks off the back of the roof, falls down, hits his head, fractures his skull, brain injury.
Oh man.
Jaw fractured in two places. And then the machine comes down on him.
Oh.
And it weighed 600 pounds, crushed his chest. This is an 18-foot tall roof, like a warehouse.
Goodness.
Crushed his chest, and then the asphalt comes out, and that hot asphalt goes everywhere, and it burns second and third degree burns all over his body. It's a wonder that he lived, but it's just a terrible situation.
Yeah.
And I tried everything to try to get another lawyer to take that case, and nobody would. So, and the thing of it was, the plaintiff in that case, the fellow who was hurt, was my big brother, Keith.
Oh my goodness.
So there's no way I was going to let him. It wasn't all his fault. They had designed a stupid machine and they had sent it. It was supposed to become, the salesman was supposed to come show you the process, show you that there's actually a bar that goes out to the side and you walk forward with it. Nobody ever used it that way, but that's the official way you're supposed to use it. And so he didn't know, and it wasn't his fault, not all his fault anyway. And he was killing them, that he had done this to his family and to his kids and so on. So I had to try the case, and this is my first time. And looking back on it, it's kind of pathetic. These guys were very experienced lawyers on the other side, and there were three of them, and they were bouncing me around like a ping pong ball. Like they're like, "What do you think we ought to do on the voir dire?" He's like, "You think that, or you think three challenges is enough?" I'm like, well, yeah, let's see, that'd be three from me, three. That'd be what, 12 altogether? And they looked at each other because they're supposed to split the same number I have. I
Right.
didn't know that. The idiot took advantage of me. They did that to me all the way through. I got 15 minutes or 30 minutes for opening, and they each got 30 minutes. So the jury heard a lot more from the defendants than they heard from me. But fortunately, the jury was a good one. But the story that I tell from that, and it's a story that, of course, they are offering us a little bit, and there's always a temptation to take it.
Hmm.
And the stress, honestly, is the hardest part of our job, the stress and the fear that we're going to screw something up. And in that case, it got compounded by the other reason that we don't go to trial, aside from the stresses, it cost a damn fortune. And I was
Yeah.
a 3-year lawyer and I didn't have any money. And my wife now was my bookkeeper then. And so I'm starting the trial, and the judge hated my case. The judge absolutely hated my case. But I'm starting the trial, and one of the defense lawyers comes over to me, and he's got the Tampa Bay Business Journal out, print version, the old days. And he goes, "Hey, Dale, is this you?" And I looked in there, and in the back of this, they've got a listing of all the tax liens and judgments that have been, and sure as hell, it says Dale Swope, tax lien, $30,000. Yeah, Tom, I reckon that's me, buddy. I don't know of any other Dale Swope lawyers around Tampa. Do you? Because if you do, I'd like to talk to him. So I went into that trial knowing that if I did not win that case, I would probably be working today at the public defender's office or somewhere, because that would have been the end of the line. And there's actually been, I think I counted at one point at least 4 times that if a jury's verdict came the wrong way, it would have been, I had every single one of my chips on the table on all those 4 occasions.
Mm.
So that's the benefit of being in a multi-generational firm right there.
Yeah.
It's quite helpful if you
Yes.
don't have to know that you're going all in, because you can never let your client's interest take a second position to your own. And if it bankrupts you, it just bankrupts you. That's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
So
There's that I've told a story from another attorney that was a defense lawyer beat some plaintiff down in like Sarasota area, and this defense lawyer, she was like crying about it because it ruined her, it
mm,
ruined her firm, and it was a med, I think it was a med mal case, and the defense lawyer did not care at all and was just like, we don't care, you're paying our costs, we're coming after your client because you rolled the dice. And that is a scary part of what we do. I mean,
it's real.
it's not rare, especially today, to have $200,000 in costs.
Oh yeah.
I think the last trial I had, we had over 100,000 just in experts.
Yeah.
That doesn't count for any of the other stuff you do.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you do med mal, you got to watch out not to get $1 million involved in those cases. I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
it happen. I've seen it happen where you have a cold million, not my money, but I mean, if you take the case, you've got 5 defendants or 4 defendants, you have to sue them all. That's what it is. I'll tell you, I'll tell you one more war story.
Okay. I'm here
You
for it.
can edit this as you want.
I'm
Again, this is not me, but I had a good buddy of mine who was in trial. And it was a horrible, horrible thing. Speaking of med mal trial, now this fellow didn't have any financial problems. He's very well off, but this is one of those lawyers who never goes to trial. He instead goes to war, right? Everything is out. Everything's on the table. Everything is ballistic. There's no prisoners. There is no quarter ask, and there will be none given. And I mean, it's war with this fella. And I love him to death for that reason. He actually is a former Army Ranger.
Oh, there
And
you go.
give you an idea who you're talking about. So he had this horrible case for a young woman whose dad's a lawyer. But this woman had suffered at the hands of physicians a horrible injury, and it damaged all the myelin surrounding her nerves, including her brain.
Hmm.
So that you would say that this 21-year-old college student is essentially now chronic vegetative, or in the next level up, which they would call minimally persistent state. Minimally conscious state.
Okay.
And he called me, he says, Dale, the judge, in the middle of the 3-week trial, says, the judge is just killing me. The judge is killing me. Every ruling he makes, he's favoring these guys. I don't know why it is. They've been lying to him and he can't seem to see through it. Everything. And this is, this is one of the factors that is a gamble in our case. You never know. The judge is doing their best, but sometimes they make mistakes, and sometimes you present them with a complicated issue. You can't expect them to get everything right. And so you're going to have to be understanding that something's going to go wrong in the trial. There's a great movie called Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood.
Right.
And I can't, who's the actor that died maybe last year, used to do Home Depot commercials. He's in the movie too. Morgan Freeman's in it. And they're, the deputy, the sheriff in the movie is talking to a journalist in his thing. And they're talking about how that this deputy had been at some big shootout that was very famous, and the journalist had actually written about it, and he got it all wrong. So the deputy's laying it out to him. What was the guy's name that did the Home Depot commercials? Anyway,
You're stumping me on it.
so he says, he goes, look, son, he goes, you understand in these shootouts, it being fast and quick on the draw, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything, I guess, but that ain't really what matters. He goes, the quickest I could pull my gun out and get a good aim on you and pull a trigger is going to be about what, 4 seconds or 3 seconds, and you might have a second on me. But that ain't really what matters in these situations. What matters is the fella that can keep his head when something goes wrong. That's the one that'll kill you. And that movie, that line became prescient because in the end of the movie, there's a scene where they killed Morgan Freeman. They got his body out in front of the bar. The fellow whose name I can't remember is inside.
Was it Gene Hackman?
Gene Hackman. I knew you knew it. You were just holding out on me. Gene Hackman's inside and he's gathering up a posse and they're talking about how they're going to go chasing down Clint Eastwood the next day. And Clint Eastwood then just comes walking in. And everybody freezes. And he goes, whose bar is this? And the bartender raises his hand and he goes, this is for putting my friend's body out front on display like he's some kind of a show. And he raises his gun, boom, kills him. Everybody's now panicking, hiding behind the thing. And Gene Hackman says, you just killed an innocent man. You think you're somebody big because you shot an innocent man. And Hackman's walking over towards him. And he goes, yes, I did. And I'm fixing to kill you too. And he pulls up his gun. And Hackman's just standing there. He ain't got time to get his gun out. And when Clint Eastwood pulls the trigger, it misfires. And everybody like freezes for a second. They don't know what to do. And Hackman says, misfired, it misfired. He takes the rifle, he throws it at Gene Hackman. He goes over there, grabs his gun, and he kills Gene Hackman. Point of it is, shit's going to go wrong. Mm-hmm. When things go wrong, just don't panic. It's going to be okay. So my buddy, bring this back around. He says, I know you're friends with this judge, and I am. He goes, would you mind just coming to my courtroom tomorrow, sit behind my table, let the judge know that I'm not an idiot. Let the judge know that, you think I'm all right. Maybe it'll help. I'm like, well, I don't think that's going to make a difference, but I'm happy to help in any way I can. So I went there and I watched the trial. And what I saw was a situation where this lawyer is having nothing but classically in his wartime stuff. He's having fights with the judge. It's going on interminably. But as I told him later, I said, I think the jury likes you. I don't know. I think they like you. And I don't know if I'd panic about this. He goes, no, I don't have any choice. I've got to recuse the judge. I got to disqualify him. I'm going to file a motion to disqualify him. I'm going to do it on that. I said, don't do that, right? Come on, don't do that. There's no reason to do that. He's going to deny it. You're never going to get a new trial based on that. And do you even want a new trial? You're 3 weeks into this case. You don't, if they've made all these mistakes, it's like a defensive offsides. You can throw it along, you'll get another run at it. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So on Saturday, he calls me at home. I come down to his office. He is just about in tears. Says, I know you don't want me to do this, and I'm sorry, but I don't think there's any way around it that I can preserve these errors without filing a motion to disqualify him. And sure as hell, come Monday, he files a motion to disqualify at the end of the trial. Come Tuesday morning, the judge walks in and says your motion to disqualify is denied. Let's do closing statements. They did closing statements. The jury came back the next day, now Wednesday, brought in a $64 million verdict.
Jeez Louise.
And I think that's the story that all of us got to understand. The one with my brother, whenever I had the tax lien and thought I might be going to work for the public defender's office, that one came in to be a great big verdict. I didn't get another one that big for many years. And the one that my buddy got, monster verdict, even though everything had been going wrong. So remember what Gene Hackman said, it's not the one that can necessarily, that's going to draw the fastest. It's the one that doesn't panic when shit goes wrong. That's the one that'll kill you.
That's a great lesson. Huge lesson. It's a great lesson. I'm going to take that one with me. I'm going to be thinking about that one when I'm trial prepping next time.
What's that movie too? Unforgiven. All right.
My brother was big into Westerns when I was growing up, so I had to watch them all, you know. So, and at that time in the world, the Westerns were being produced still, so it was good fun. So I have to go back to them at some point and watch them. I know that they were all good when I watched them when I was younger, so definitely will. Dale, I appreciate your time this afternoon, and you know, perhaps we'll do this again. I know you got more in you.
I see I ran way over, but that's what your editing tool is for, okay?
No, man, I think I'm just going to keep it the way it is. Absolutely. You know, I feel like next time we had to do it in person over a glass of bourbon.
The stories get better.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. I'll supply the bourbon, man.
All right, man.
I appreciate it.
Right. All right. Take care.
You too. Bye.